Welcome back to a quick chat in the Cadillac. My name is SG, and today we're going to talk about the simplicity of complexity. So, if you don't know, this is my show, and I'm going to break it down for you real quick. Today, we're talking about something important, something that has been a part of my life for longer than I can remember, and that's the reason I want to talk about it today. It's also a buzzword or a hot button topic or hot button issue, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and that is depression. Ooh, depression, spooky. I'm going to give you 3 steps in order to help alleviate your depression and get through those depressive episodes more quickly and efficiently while allowing yourself to get back on track in terms of your mental state and also your life as a whole. All right, now it's not going to be easy. No one ever said it would be. And those of us out here with depression know that's usually the case. In fact, when I was young, I was one of those idiots that believed depression was all in your head and that it was completely under your control, 100%. Why are you sad? Just be happy. However, that actually was more destructive to me during my depressive episodes than beneficial and kind of short-sighted, no pun intended. Okay, because we know depression can come in all forms and fashions, and a lot of times it's not only just inspired by past traumas and experiences, it can be a chemical imbalance within your brain that sort of makes you prone to slipping into depressive episodes. But we need solutions, and that's what I came here to provide. So the very first step in order to allow yourself to exit these depressive episodes more efficiently, quickly, and productively would be to sit with your depression. I know, that's a tough one. However, it is important because you need to be able to sit back and analyze, right? Take a moment, ground yourself, whether you need space and time from work, space and time from all of the relationships in your life, a combination of both. But you need to take a moment in order to sit with your own feelings or lack thereof, in my case, and understand what is going on right now. Because even the most happy, even the people who seem like they have the most reasons to be happy can fall into the deepest of depressions. So a lot of times we need to take a moment to ground ourselves internally and understand, okay, what is going on? Now, this is where it gets tricky, right? Because you can't sit in depression for eternity. You'll end up, doing the last dance with the devil, pretty much. So you don't want to do that. Okay, and what you want to do instead is sit with it so that you can name it. You need to have a goal for this time that you're spending analyzing your depression. Because once you can name what's going on or figure out or put some sort of structure to it, you can now begin to figure out how to prevent it or work proactively against it in the future, because you'll never really be able to prevent it. But you can use the tools and muscles, quote unquote, that you've built over time to battle against these depressive episodes in a form that is productive. So for me, when it comes to most of my depressive episodes, the reason I enter them is because I've been neglecting myself, right? I'm neglecting my feelings, my ambitions, my thoughts. When I do so, my brain processes that information as unnecessary. Therefore, I enter a state where I feel most comfortable being numb, and it becomes a habit. I sit in numbness. And then I feel guilty because now I have virtually no emotion. Regardless of what's going on around me, I feel like a robot, and that begins to wear on a person. I know that's not the case for every form of depression out there because there are many, and I'm no psychiatrist or psychologist, so I'm not going to pretend I am. But what I will say is, for me, I have to name it first to understand, okay, now I need to set my emotional boundaries for myself in order to move forwards from this depression. Okay? That's number one. You have to sit with it in order to understand it. Don't do it too long. Have a goal of figuring out, why am I feeling this way? And if you can't figure it out, we'll go ahead and skip that part and go to step 2, because it's more important that you just get out of sitting with it. Step 2 is an optional step, okay? And this step 2 is talking about utilizing your connections in order to help lift yourself out of this depression by building more positive engagement and interaction with others and yourself. Now, I'm not saying you need to use people to make yourself happy, because if you try to offload your depression on someone else, that's a recipe for disaster. What I am saying is, you may have friends, you may have family members, you may have lovers. At the end of the day, some of those people enjoy doing activities with you that you also enjoy. So you need to figure out a way to do so. Now, the end goal here is not a fix-all or a band-aid for depression, right? It's not gonna instantly make you feel better if you go out with your buddies to go do something, or you go out with your lady friend to go do something, or see, whatever. Take the roles as they are, but that's not gonna be the fix-all. What you're trying to accomplish here is a little bit of positive stimulation. When you build positive stimulation, you're allowing your brain to at least begin the process of now rewiring itself yet again, to understand what it feels like to experience joy, what it feels like to be happy or content, at least for a moment. And that goes a long way in terms of getting you out of a depressive episode, because that acts as like the light at the end of the tunnel, right? For a lot of people out there with depression, feel like the world is a cold, dark place and there's no place they can go to escape it. This allows you at least temporary relief to understand, okay, maybe it's not so cold and dark all the damn time, if you feel what I'm saying. So in essence, all you have to do is find something that you like to do, whether it's with your friends or family or your romantic partners. Find something you like to do, experience a little bit of joy. What I'm not saying is conform to what society says you should do in those instances. If you're not a person who has fun at the bar, don't go to the bar, right? Vice versa. If you're a person who likes to go mini golfing, go mini golfing. But if you don't go mini golf. If you have no money, go to the park and take a walk. If you can't walk, go sit outside on the front porch. And if you're a smoker, smoke some little something for yourself. Or if you're not a smoker, sit on the front porch and just enjoy the sunshine or the rain or whatever the fuck's going on outside. Because quite frankly, there's lots of beauty in this world to enjoy wherever and whenever you decide to do it. Now, this is, again, not a fix-all, so we need to progress to step 3. If you're a person who has virtually no circle, no money, and no friends, step 3 is going to be where you find your secret sauce. Okay, because step 3 includes doing something for yourself in order to alleviate some of that depression. And the only way you're going to be doing that is through progress and growth in some form. So it could be a new hobby, a new creative pursuit. It could be exercising. It could be, building connections so that you don't have to spend so much time alone. Whatever the case, you need to find a way to improve upon yourself. Now, there are some people out there who practice step 3, but they use someone else as the justification why. Oh, this person did this to me or hurt me or made me feel this way, so now I have to improve upon myself to make myself feel better. That's fine. Use that person as motivation, but please do not allow that to become the standard, because then you're trying to grow for all the wrong reasons, and the growth that you see will be very temporary. Ultimately, it will land you right back in the same place you were before. Once you have developed some sort of good habit, some sort of positive pursuit, something that stimulates you in a way that makes you feel productive and valuable, then you need to do so and continue to do so for yourself after a certain point, if not from the very beginning. I know that sometimes others can be our greatest motivation, but at the end of the day, the reason for your discipline needs to be you. So once you've developed that good habit, or if you started off from the beginning, continue to do these things for yourself, right? And I'm not saying it's going to end your cycle of depressive episodes, because those of us who have experienced depression for a long time understand a lot of times it's going to come back. And that's not something you should run from or be afraid of. In fact, it's something that you should embrace, because that's what allows you to be real enough with yourself to understand why it's so important to build strong and proactive techniques to remove yourself from these depressions. Again, it takes time, but you have to give yourself the space to grow. Just like you have to give yourself the space to feel the depression at the beginning, you have to give yourself the space over time to understand, okay, when I get into a depressive episode, this is what I need to do. This is what works for me best. This is how I move forward without ultimately blowing up my life and relationships out of some sort of rebellion against this depression, or even, adherence or like submission to it. Because the goal here is not to become magically cured of your depression. In fact, that's very unrealistic. The goal is to give yourself the muscles, the techniques, the habits in order to continuously approach depression head on and lift yourself up out of it through activity, through connection, through progress. Those are things that are going to help you when you get into a depressive episode, remove yourself from it more quickly, effectively, and overall keep your life at on average consistently improving. All right, that's what I have to tell you for today. Peace.